Now, Klay Thompson, and I want to ask you about Steve Kerr in a second, Shasky, because I'm with you. I think you got to shorten the rotation. You got to find some cohesion here.
Clean it up.
Guys need to
Just
know
clean
who
it
to
up.
play.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that sounds Steve Kerr. So there's a Steve Kerr question for you in a second. But before we get to the sound what KG certified about Klay Thompson, his last 7 games have been a little bit better. They've been clunky at times, but in his last 7, Klay Thompson shooting 41% from the floor and 40% from 3. He's scoring 19 a game, 4.5 rebounds, 3 assists. You see the effort, and I know we don't pay guys for effort. We pay them for production, but the production is there the last 7 games. There's no doubt Klay Thompson can't defend at the level he used to defend at. I'm not dismissing that. And, is there a bench conversation for him? Sure. I think it's a conversation for everybody outside of Stephen Curry.
I would agree with that. It is what it is. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But Paul Pierce and KG on Klay struggling since the injuries.
So Klay Thompson was a great two-way player.
Yeah.
And I thought at first his defense was ahead of his scoring. Then he became a dynamic scorer who could still defend. Wiggins, I'm not calling him that dynamic scorer, but he was definitely supposed to step in and take the burden of whoever's the best guard of the night. If they playing Luka, Klay, go play somebody else. Wiggins will take Luka,
Booker,
right? All the tough matchup.
Yeah.
And he hasn't panned out, P.
Dealing with the injuries, the miles, all that he's been through. That's why they brought a Wiggins in. But Wiggins ain't took that challenge to where I need to be the second in charge behind Curry, to where Wiggins should be out there giving you 20, 25 a night at this stage, because he's young legs. He's still athletic. He ain't got the same miles as these other guys, and he ain't stepped up.
So they're putting it on Wiggins to step up.
Well, Wiggins is in his prime. Yeah, he needs to step up. But to me, we could point fingers at individual guys. I'm kind of with the overall, the overall theme of where we're. There's a lot of guys that are either inconsistent,
right,
or underperforming. So Wiggins is a big part. I don't want to say that he's not, but it's not all on Wiggins. It's definitely not all on Klay. Draymond's been better, but Draymond, you got suspended for 5 games. That didn't help the team. Steph Curry is minted. He's certified. Steph Curry had the ball multiple times at the end of that game, of the Clipper game, and didn't get the greatest looks.
Nope.
And I don't know. Look, there have been I love Steph. Steph's still at his all-time high. Something's going on with the turnovers, and it's not just on him, because personnel dictates a lot of this.
Yep.
He's getting blitzed to death right now,
doubt.
and he's as sloppy as he's ever been.
Yep.
So he needs to be more prepared for what the defenses are prepared. And
you're right.
I'm not trying to crush. We love Steph.
No.
Well, let's call a spade a spade.
Even Steph will tell you
exactly.
He can't turn it over.
I just feel like we're going at Klay and Wiggins, and yes, they're a big part of it.
It's
my lead dog is. He hasn't performed in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go.
So
I expect him to.
Well, in the last week.
Yeah, in the last week. That's what I mean. In the last week.
In the last week. You get Sacramento.
OKC sack Clippers.
You get to Sacramento. You turn the ball over. Draymond and Steph has some atrocious turnovers in the last 50 seconds. You get a missed shot there from Steph. And then you get the pass to Draymond Green. And look, the shot was fine. Draymond Green shot 50% from 3 in the month of November. He's actually shooting the ball a lot. He was 4 of 8 against the Clippers.
Shooting. He looked amazing.
He's 4 of 8 against the Clippers Saturday afternoon. And
that's why I like the Sarge
Willie's been saying that, and I've kind of echoed Willie's sentiments. Chris Muller, that is, shoot the 3 ball 7 to 8 times.
I'm with you.
I have no problem with it. If you make half of them, great. It's awesome. It's awesome. But does a move need to be made? And then it gets to Steve Kerr. Has Steve Kerr done the best job this season as head coach of the Golden State Warriors?
No.
How would you assess his job through 20 games?
I think it's really easy for me to sit here and nitpick not fouling in the OKC game, and nitpick, taking Moody out, nitpick, lots of little things, not playing Kuminga more, or specific lineups and things like that, maybe playing the too big lineup way too much for my liking. There's a lot of things that we get Corey Joseph minutes at times over Pajemski. But here's where I would come back to. I'm looking at the roster that he's being dealt, and I would say I'm not sure how many coaches in the history of the game would be maximizing this team. Who do you think's the best coach ever?
It would be between Phil, Popovich, Pat Riley.
Okay. All names that I would have.
I mean, and look, we could say Red Auerbach.
Got to throw him in there.
Got to throw him in there. Red Holzman.
Even if you want to throw the guy in Miami, Spoelstra in there, fine. But like, even if all those guys are coaching simultaneously, what are they? 2 or 3 wins better?
Maybe.
You think more?
Well, Pop, I don't know. It's a tough question to answer.
Because guys have been really inconsistent and unavailable.
Because I think game by game, Spoelstra's game plans, he'll still win here and there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And you look at the Miami.
But he's cutthroat, B.
He's cutthroat. He is.
I mean, this is
he'll bench somebody. He'll bench.
That's what I'm saying.
He'll bench a Wiggins. He'll bench a Clay if it needed to come to that. And I'm not saying they should bench Clay or bench Wiggins. I'm not saying that at all.
But that's where, like, so you're at, I don't know. Like, you can't be loyal and then say, well, the coach is underperforming, but I prefer loyalty. Like, I just think Steve Kerr's in a really tough spot. I think he's juggling a lot of plates.
And he's in a contract year.
Yes.
And he's in a contract year.
I don't think he's been excellent. I don't think he's been excellent. I'm trying to, I'm like a word salad here. Right. I don't think he's been excellent. But Bonte, I also don't think he's been served a great dish.
I would say this. And it's hard for me to say because I've never been in that position before. But if I'm entering a contract year, whether it's at 95.7, NBC, you got to let it fly. You got to just do you. You got to go out guns blazing. You know what I'm saying? You got to give everything you got and just say, F it. And right now, I want to see Steve Kerr do that.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
F it means if Moody's rolling in crunch time, I can't pull him. If Podziemski's rolling in crunch time and Chris Paul's over there and he's having a better game, you know what, Chris Paul, you're not playing. If Kuminga's rolling and you got to bench Clay and Wiggins at crunch time, then damn it, so be it. They got to sit on the bench at crunch time. You got to roll. You got to win games, man. It's about winning. It's a production-based business. Joe Lacob, I know, wants to see some of the youngsters. He wants to win. How do you think Joe Lacob's feeling right now, paying all these taxes for this roster, a 9-11 roster? He's frustrated because the expectation coming into the season, and we haven't heard this word recently, connectivity. We haven't heard that in the last couple of weeks with the Golden State Warriors.
But it's easy to say that, and I agree with you. In the moment, yes, all those things. But as a coach, don't you also have to balance out the emotions and the individuals?
But you know what?
And you might lose a guy for the entire year based off who they are.
You know what? The rotations today, right, with Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins, going to get a little more complicated.
Yeah.
You got to have tough conversations, and then it's on the player to check themselves.
Okay.
Whether it's, I don't care who it is, you name a player. They've got to check their ego.
I would agree with that.
And if you're a team player, you have to do what's best for the team. You have to do what's best for the team. Now, it's different with David Lee because obviously Kerr, that wasn't Kerr's guy, and Kerr came in as a first-year head coach. But David Lee was the ultimate team guy and said, Draymond's got my spot. I don't have a spot on this team. You know what? I'll be the best team that I could be. Guys got to chuck it. They got to suck it up. Because it's about winning games. Now, I know everybody wants to pinpoint Clay again. I'll read the numbers again over his last 7. If you look at Andrew Wiggins, you look at Klay Thompson, and you had to pick between the two, and I don't want to pit the two together. I'm not trying to do that. But Clay's been better over the last 7. Andrew Wiggins is still shooting 26% from the three-point line. And I think on this roster that wants to play a lot faster, it wants a lot more spacing, I choose the shooter over the guy who's struggling with the shot. So I'm choosing Klay Thompson, who's shooting 40% from 3 in his last 7 and giving you 19 points per game over what Andrew Wiggins is doing.
So let me play the devil's advocate. They've had Klay Thompson to close almost every one of those games, and they've had consistent failures scoring in the half court in the fourth quarter. So, and not getting certain stops. So, like, I feel like we're all tiptoeing around. Like, yes, Wiggins has been not good, and I'm not here to like cape up for Wiggs. Like, quite honestly, I feel like Wiggs is the piece.
Who has the ball? Who has the ball in their hands at crunch time in the half court?
Well, it's primarily Steph Curry,
and who else?
And whoever
Draymond
else,
Green.
CP3
and Draymond Green. Right?
Well, Draymond Green. Yes, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. I don't know why I didn't even think of him.
So the floor spacing, it's a little better, but it's not that much better. And it's not going to get better if you pull Clay and you play Wiggins. Now, I get if you want to make the defensive argument, fine. But Wiggins hasn't defended at that level this season.
No.
So how much defense am I really getting from him?
No, but I think where I guess I get confused is that like anyone can come out at any time, but not him.
Who, Clay?
Yeah.
No, I said that.
I just think that it's all.
No, nobody said that. Nobody's saying that at all. We had the conversation Wednesday night. Nobody was listening to me when I said Clay should have been a guy out in 426. not Andrew Wiggins. Should have been Clay. I said that. He was 1 of 5 in the second half, 3 points in the second half, after having a dynamic first half, scoring 17. And I said, if I had to pick and choose a guy who should have came out at that basketball game at that moment, it probably should have been Klay Thompson. So nobody's saying that Klay's untouchable in crunch time. Nobody's untouchable outside of Stephen Curry. And you're probably not going to touch Draymond Green because he is your communicator on defense. So everything else is fair game. And I've said that over and over and over again. And I knew this would be a problem this year. It wasn't about who's starting. It's about who's finishing the damn basketball game. And Steve Kerr mentioned it back on October 24th. I'm going to go by feel. I'm going to go by flow. Well, it looked like Saturday he did that because he went with Podziemski down the stretch.
Which I commended him for. And their best player didn't execute in the final couple possessions.
Exactly.
Now, it's not all on him. They also hit really good shots on the other end. Paul George, I mean,
right.
It was a spectacular performance by him late in that game. So, I don't know. I'm looking at these common denominators, and I don't know what. Like, again, it's not all on one guy at any point, but when you lose, and the way that you're losing in terms of executing on both ends of the floor in the end of games, fourth quarter, we got to shake some stuff up.
Right.
Like, they've already kind of shaken up the double big lineup, and I'm glad. It's a little long overdue. I'm good to see it like playing out. And Saric, here's the thing with Saric, like, Saric only works for a short period of time against certain teams.
Right.
Like, Saric isn't a cure-all, you know? Like, so that goes back to the overall roster, to me, is a little flawed.
Like, do you start Saric against DeAndre Ayton tonight?
That's not a matchup I like.
Now, on the flip side, Saric could get Ayton out of the paint. He'll stretch Ayton out.
And get Draymond some good looks.
And either Ayton sags in the paint and Saric gets wide open threes, or Ayton pulls up on Saric, gets in the face, and all of a sudden it creates open lanes. And all of a sudden, you don't have rim protection. So there's a give and take there with DeAndre Ayton.
Can this roster right now have a winning record by Christmas?
I don't know. Well, let's look at the schedule. We could play the schedule game here. Because honestly, we're 20 games in.
Yeah, I know.
And we're kind of know, GMs, coaches know what kind of team they have.
Got about
20
60
games in.
left. Ugh.
So you got, that's fine. We need that. Because Giants baseball, it could be much better.
No. What I'm saying is that a big chunk of the season has occurred.
Yeah. 20 games in. So you get Portland tonight, OKC Friday, Phoenix Tuesday. You get the Clippers again on Thursday in LA. Then you get Brooklyn. Then you get Portland again. Then you get Boston. Then you get the return of Jordan Poole. And you get Portland again. And then you get Denver on Christmas Day. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. 10 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 games until Christmas. You say a winning record.
Yeah.
So they basically have to go 7-3 to have a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
Can you win the 2 games against Portland? Well, you got 3 games at Portland during this stretch.
You got to win all of them.
You got to win all of them. You have to beat Washington.
That's a favorite. I mean, like, in terms of, like, if you're looking at odds, I like my odds in terms of who the teams are that you rattled off there. Like, they should win some of these. But
so that's 4 wins.
Yeah. They have to win them all, though.
They have to win them all.
They
that's
have
4.
to win them all.
Figure you got to beat Brooklyn on a Saturday night at home, even though they got some dudes. They got some dudes.
See, this is where I struggle. It's hard to say anything is a guarantee.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get here. So I'm trying to get to.
That's why
you get the Clippers again,
know,
and then you get then you're in the Valley again against Phoenix, and you got OKC on Friday.
I just feel like
And then, by the way, the Boston Celtics probably play better basketball than anybody in the league.
You ever watch that episode of Sopranos where Chris and Paulie go into the woods and they're trying to track down the Russian guy who they were going to kill?
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the all-time great episodes.
Yeah.
And they're walking around the woods and they keep walking in a circle.
The guy who was messing with his wife, right?
Yes.
Yeah, with the ponytail.
Yes. And they keep walking in a circle, and they're getting colder, and Chris is getting hungrier, and Paulie's getting more irritated, and Chris got hit with the shovel, and so his head's bleeding and going. That's what I feel like what this year's Warriors team is. It's like they're walking around in a circle, and they think that they're about to find the road. They think they're about to find their car, and it's like we're just stuck in this vortex.
Yeah.
And we need Tony Soprano to come and save us.
Well, Tony Soprano's dead, so he's not going to save us.
Well, at that point in the episode, he was busy with his guma.
Exactly. But
that's what I keep coming back to. I'm telling you, man, I think they need a little tweak here.
Well, 5-1-0, the more in-depth this convo gets, the more evident that there are too many holes in this team. It's not a playoff team. So